And a good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome in Chase and Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game. Hope you're having an awesome start to your day. He's Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos behind the glass. JoJo, what's up?
Well, it's a great morning so far, but, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to top Scott Stapp, Creed. And I'm telling you, man, I was at the gym this morning listening on the app. When I heard Robbie and Rocks Road, two things went through my mind. First of all, what an awesome promo for a rock and roll show, right? I mean, that's just the best name. And secondly, not Scott Stapp not knowing the just the love that Joe Rexrode, air quote, has for him was fantastic. I mean, that was fantastic radio. So well done, you and Haley and everybody involved in that.
So yesterday, I knew he was coming in, and I was telling Chris Atticus, the program director for 1029 The Buzz, I said, I got to figure out something to do here, because this is it's not just one of those things that's been mentioned in passing. Like, it's a regular thing,
right,
with Joe. And Creed's one of those bands. It's like Nickelback, that there's like a group that just absolutely loves them, and then there's a group that just absolutely hates them, and there's really not a reason, they just do.
Yep.
And so I just said, do you think he'd cut a liner? And they're like, yeah, you should totally get him to do that. So I wrote it out. Haley was like, yeah, I'll take care of it, because he was going to do some stuff for them. And the whole Rocks Road thing was not even planned.
Oh,
it just
beautiful.
happened. And when I heard it, I texted it to Robbie, and I said, I have actual tears flowing down my face right now. I'm laughing so hard. Like, this is going to be perfect. And so, Nick and Robbie, everybody pulled it off great. Watching the stream, the look on Joe's face was so
That's
priceless.
great, man. I'm thinking doing this who do I just despise that if they came to the station and did that for me, and I'd have to act so. It'd be like Florida Georgia Line coming in saying, hey, we listen to Big Joe on 1025, knowing my disdain, which is unwarranted. I don't know those guys from anybody. But having to, be excited, and where do you go from here? So Joe's got to be a Creed fan from now on. He's got to be forever.
Oh, I think so. It was funny. It was just so good that. So yeah, if you missed the Rex rant today, go back and trust me, that's a liner you're going to be hearing quite a bit on Robbie and Rocks Road.
Well, let me ask you, Chase, what celebrity could you not stand, but if came in here and gave you a shout out, you'd be like, oh no, I'm stuck now.
Oh, that's a good question.
Dr. Crane, you got one too while the boss man thinks? Just a celebrity you cannot stand.
I don't Maybe Rob Lowe at the Super Bowl when he wore the NFL referee hat and stands. That bothers me. Pick a side.
That's a great one.
Man, that is
Yeah.
Well, do we want to go with that today?
Maybe we'll do that one. We got the other one too about the worst day, right? We can still do that.
we want to do the question of the day more here on the show. That's a good one. So, celebrity that you can't stand, but if they gave you a shout out, you'd have to
eat
nice.
your can of worms. Yeah, you'd have to eat your can of worms. There's got to be one. Even an athlete, celebrity athlete.
Well, that's I'm thinking through athletes. See, that's the thing. There's not too many that I just don't love. I used to not like Kyle Busch a lot, so it probably would have been him. But now that I've covered the sport more,
right?
He's kind of chilled out, so I don't have that disdain for him. Jeff Gordon, it was the same way. I don't have that disdain for him.
Like one of those maybe reality show guys on MTV, because most of those guys are punks. That just drives you crazy. I don't know. It's an interesting question.
I can't stand Snooki, so that could be one.
Okay, Snooki came in here and said, "Chase McCabe, happy birthday, Chase. We love you." That would be something.
Is that what she sounds like?
I don't believe so. She doesn't sound like an 80-year-old woman.
What about she sounds like a 1935 announcer? Huh? Snooki, hey, Chester. What about Stephen Smith? I can't stand Stephen Smith, but if he came in here, I'd be like, "Hey, man, buddy, what's going on?"
Yeah. There's definitely some where it's just over the, they're over the top.
I couldn't stand. I'm like, who? I did a thing. Oh, like Bill Maher, Bill Maher, Bear, whatever the host.
Yeah.
I can't stand him. I'd slap him if I could, just because I can't. I've never liked him. I mean, he doesn't
Okay.
know me, and I don't obsess over him, but he's a guy that, like, if he came here like, hey, Big Joe, and listen 102.5, I'd be like, hey, Bill, big fan as well. You know, it was one of those things we'd have to feign the excitement and the love and the adoration for all that.
1589 says got to be Ray Lewis.
Oh.
0953 just Jared Stillman. You people and your Jared hate. Y'all don't even know. Chris, okay, here's a new one. Pat McAfee annoys the crap out of me on all of his shows and just everything he does. I want to punch him.
I hear that from a lot of people. And I don't know if because they're like, hey, he got a great idea, wish I could do that, or the fact they just don't like him. I don't know. It's a good one. It's a really good one.
Kevin, anyone from The View?
Could you imagine him coming in here and just like, we love you guys and all that? Oh, my goodness.
Benjamin, pretty much any member of the Kardashian family, but I would have to brag about a shout-out from them.
Oh,
See,
of course
come
you
on
would.
now. You can't do both.
You'd have
Rex,
to.
you could, yeah.
That's why Rex Road's on that fine line of like,
Right.
yeah, and then, yeah.
3448 says Ray Lewis. So another one for Ray Lewis.
Oh, man, that's something.
I mean, Ray Lewis is definitely up there
Right.
for Titans fans,
Oh,
especially
man.
the ones that have been around for a while.
What's the other one we had about you're giving away the tickets, right, for the worst best date or the best worst date?
Yeah, just your worst date story.
Worst
and that's
date
for the
story.
Def Leppard tickets. But we'll throw this into consideration. Alex from Nashville, any politician.
That's
yeah.
that covers
that's
it all
true.
for everybody. Yeah.
See,
good on
I
line.
don't. There's probably a few in that category that I could say, but I don't want to throw that out there because then that starts a whole nother thing.
You know, it was funny. I was listening to Jared, and fantastic job he's doing out in Vegas with everything. And I was listening, go back to the podcast about when they offered him Carrot Top, right, in Vegas, and he
Oh,
had
yeah.
the little carrot, and it made me laugh, right? And I'm thinking, if I know we discussed it a little bit yesterday, but as far as, you know, a celebrity or a sports celebrity coming through to turn down, and I was thinking, have we ever done that? And I go back to SEC Media Days, and I don't think we turned anybody down, right? I think when I did that a long time ago, we would have some lady came by with Southern tailgating cookbook, and it was awful, right? I mean, it was her cookbook, but she hadn't even prepared for it. And we did this interview, and like halfway through, about 4 questions in, I realized she knew nothing about football. So we ended up asking her all these questions about football, and she had nothing. So have we ever turned down a guest like that?
I mean, not to my knowledge. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, but like the thing is that Jared's program is not the type that would have Carrot Top on.
Correct. Yeah.
You know. So I mean,
But good for him for saying no. Like, yeah,
right?
we'll
And,
do Carrot Top.
and like, here's what I'll say to anyone that gives him crap for that. And I'm not saying you are, but he's out there. He's you know, he's made that happen, and he's been killing it. He's got a one-on-one with Titans quarterback Will Levis that will air at 2:00 today.
Nice.
So he is, he's had a lot of stuff out there on Radio Row.
No,
but-
I'm not. I'm not giving him crap.
No, I know.
I
I
just
just-
like
other
the
people
fact
will.
that he said, "No, we're good." You know, and then on the flip side, we'd be like, "Yeah, come on over here, man,
Yeah.
and see what you got going on." Because you know what, the Radio Row, I mean, they bring by just so many different people, and that really have very little to do with what's going on. There's always pitching something. And
Well,
so,
Hutton was talking about it yesterday. Who was it, Nick, that he said that they were
It was Carrot Top.
Well, no. The story where there was a guy that was in a movie with like Adam Sandler and David Spade or whatever, and he was like the other one, and nobody was talking to him. He was just kind of sitting there. He was MacGruger. He played MacGruger, and was sitting there by himself. And they were like, "Hey, do you want to come on?" And he's like, "You want me to come on?
What,
Sure."
Will Forte?
Yeah, Will Forte. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh my God, I would grab him in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
that's-
yeah, MacGruber. Yeah, SNL.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Yeah. I didn't know him much or the MacGruber movies or whatever, but when they said that, I thought that was really funny. Like, go get the guy that like nobody's paying attention
Oh
to.
man, poor guy. That'd be the worst too. Is go down because he's seen it before. Somebody goes down and And the worst thing, though, is when you go to here, this is for all the PR people out there. When you're going down Radio Row or something, don't have your client with you. Go down and say, are you interested in so-and-so? No, yes. Okay, go down. Because at the CMAs, they'll bring these guys and gals down the red carpet line, like, hey, I've got Chase McCabe. You're going to talk to him. You're like, and you're looking at Chase McCabe, and you're like, I got a colonoscopy at 3. I got to get out of here quick. I mean, so it's
so awkward.
It is very awkward, and there's no solution for that. So PR people, make your way down, get a list, and bring the person down. Don't have them with you at that time, because that is just ugh.
So I had that happen to me. I think it was last year at the NASCAR Awards. So people may not know this, but it's all the Cup drivers that are in the playoffs, and they walk down the red carpet. And you can talk to them, but they also bring in the Xfinity champion, the Truck Series champion, some of the Weekly Series champions. Like, it's the whole shebang. And so, I'll talk to the Xfinity and the Truck guys because I know them too. Well, they bring me this guy that had won like the regional weekly upcoming series, and I never heard of him. And so, like, to the point that I didn't know he was standing right next to me when they said, hey, do you want this guy? And I go, I'm going to be honest, I really don't know who that is, so I'm going to pass. And he looks at me and he goes, you will.
Oh, I love that.
And I looked at him and I shook his hand and I go, brother, I hope you're right. I love that. That was awesome.
Oh, that is so very cool. Yeah, that's
like, okay.
Oh, I did a thing when I was at Channel 2. I had to go do a thing with Toy Story, right? They wanted somebody from Channel 2 to go out and throw toys. There was this event that's going on, and I went to this event, and I show up, and the lady's like, hey, how are you? I said, yeah, I'm Joe from Channel 2. She's like, oh, I thought they were bringing somebody that we knew. And I was like, yes, that is so awesome. That is, and she didn't bat an eye. It didn't apologize or anything. I was like, hey, I'll do whatever you need. I ended up throwing a couple things out and stole like 8 Woody dolls. And so that was the end of my time there. But I loved it. I love the awkwardness when it happens to me. I love it. Because that's unplanned, right? Those are things that go on that, like, you don't think about when it happens. But I like yours, man. You will.
Yeah, you will.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, real quick. I want to play a clip and then tell a story. So you're familiar that obviously Randy Moss, the wide receiver, but there's a broadcaster named Randy Moss as well, correct?
That is, yes.
Yeah. So this was Boomer Esiason's show in New York and on CBS yesterday. A really funny moment that happened live on the air.
What is Randy Moss promoting, by the way, Al? Do you know?
It's something having to do with horse racing.
Really?
He's very into horse racing.
Are you sure this is
Yeah.
Not the other Randy Moss?
The wide receiver, not Randy.
Is there another Randy
Yes.
Moss?
There's a
There's an announcer, Randy Moss,
who is into horse
who's
racing.
into horse racing.
Please tell me that's fake.
That would
No.
be so awesome.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my God!
No, because they
no.
said, I saw in the request that Randy would like to talk about blah, blah, blah. Also, anything NFL related, I'm a double check that.
Or maybe the Randy Moss who is the sports announcer or the horse racing announcer.
He used to work for the NFL Network.
Come on.
I swear to God.
Yes.
How's that possible? This is great.
Oh, Jesus.
This is horrible.
This is what Mark Chernoff's talking about. You lazy ass. I'm doing any follow through.
I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because we have a great setup and everything is great, but I can't catch a break when it comes to some of this stuff, right? Like Dua Lipa's in New York when we're out here. I think we're getting Randy Moss. We're getting the white Randy Moss. I mean, come on.
Just wanted to check to see if you would be interested in current NBC sports broadcaster and former NFL Network broadcaster and reporter.
That's right.
You booked the white Randy Moss.
Oh my God!
You idiot.
First of all,
I was thinking like, there's
Okay,
no way Randy
so
Moss-
That's
the
great.
reason I play this is because I almost did this. So I get home and everything, and I kind of laid down and took a nap, and so I wake up and I check my phone, and I have an email, and then Sean, our GM, had texted me because he was on the email. He's like, dude, Randy Moss, like, see if Jared can get him. And I halfway glanced at the email, and all it said is broadcaster Randy Moss available for Radio Row. And I'm like, cool. All right, I'll forward it. I'll forward it to Jared. And like, I didn't really read it because I was half asleep. And like 2 seconds later, I get a text from Jared that says, "Buddy, that's the wrong Randy Moss."
Oh, I love it.
So I'm glad he looked at it. But
Well, it's what's funny. I know we get to the break real quick, but it's funny for those of us in the media that covered Randy Moss when he was here to see him now on ESPN because he terrified the Titans PR staff.
yeah,
Terrified him. They were, and I'm sure Kuharski could back this up. I mean, they were frightened of him when he would do he would call an impromptu press conference at his locker or whatever. They were scared to death of Randy Moss. So when I saw the Randy Moss years later call horse racing, I was like, oh, that's cool. He's doing horse racing. Different Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Totally different Randy Moss in every shape, form, and fashion.
yeah. Alex from Nashville says Joey Logano. Joey Logano's awesome. I know why people don't like him because of how he is on the track, but like off the track, he's a really cool dude.
Evidently not.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty funny. But yeah, so that was a good laugh with Randy Moss, and that was from Boomer and Geo up there at
Nice.
WFAN in New York. So pretty funny. We got a great show planned. Keep the text coming. A celebrity, an athlete, anybody that you just can't stand, that if they gave you a shout out, like how would you react? What would you do? These could get pretty creative.
Yes.
We'll also take the worst date stories as well, and then we'll give away the Def Leppard Journey and Steve Miller Band tickets for Nissan Stadium. Greg Wyshynski going to join us at the bottom of the hour. And then who else we got today, JoJo?
We have former Pittsburgh Steelers punter, two-time Super Bowl champion, Middle Tennessee native Craig Colquitt will join us. Talk about the Super Bowl, being on part of those Steeler teams. They won Super Bowl 8 and 9, so it's always good to catch up with Craig on this. Great story.
Is he the original of like the 18 Colquitts?
He is. That is Daddy. Yep.
All right. We'll talk to him. Looking forward to that at 10 o'clock. Much more coming here on the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. All right, big game this weekend. That's why you need ESPN Bet. It's live in Tennessee. It's the official sports book of me and of ESPN. ESPN Bet is the only place to find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. Sign up today, and new users will get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. So you go and wager on anything, doesn't matter the amount, and $100 in bonus bets comes your way. You can find all your favorite markets and bets like in-game wagering, cross-sport parlays, teasers, and all the props you can handle. That's ESPN Bet. Download today. What a play. You must be 21 years or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
taking a break from all your worries.
Jason Big Joe, 1025-1063 The Game. You can hit us up on our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, 615-737-1025. Taking your calls and texts on a celebrity that you don't like, that if they gave you a shout-out, you'd have to be nice to them.
Yes.
Kyle has weighed in.
Okay.
An athlete he hates. Kyle, what's up?
What's up, guys? I didn't know I could text, but thanks. This is the best show on the station. Really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
But Ryan Kessler, if he said go me for anything, I would just be pissed off because that guy ruined a whole lot of.
What is your beef
ruined a
with
whole
him?
lot of-
That's a good one.
being a dirty player in the conference finals, right?
Yeah. No. I see where he's going with that. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Thanks for the call, Kyle.
Big Joe, do you not know about Ryan Kessler?
No, I do, but everybody's got their individual beefs with different people. I just what stood out to you that really just chafed you?
Well, he pretty much destroyed our team to go to the Cup. I mean, to win
He
the
took
Cup.
out Ryan Johansson.
Oh yeah.
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 But anyway, go Uni Bears and appreciate you guys. Favorite show.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you. I've gotten 2 texts from friends who said, Joe, what would you do if Trent Dilfer called in and said, hey, Big Joe? I probably would die. I don't, because I cannot stand Trent Dilfer. So
Yeah,
good one.
That's one.
Yes. I could not. If Trent Dilfer and Florida Georgia Line called in to wish me happy birthday, I would just quit.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like, it wouldn't be funny to book Trent Dilfer and get him to do that, but like if I got Tyler Hubbard, I would enjoy that.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, so
it would be funny. See, I just don't. There's not many people I hate. Like Corey Perry, I'd probably put him in the same category as Ryan Kessler. I didn't like Chris Chelios for a long time, but then see, this is what happens. I'll meet these people, and then I'm like, oh, they're kind of cool, you know.
Can you? All right, so we got 2 things. We love all you guys are great with interactions, and our listeners are fantastic. So we've got 2 things: athlete, celebrity that you cannot stand, give you a shout out, how would you react, and the worst, best first date, whatever. Chase, can you read 5724? This is fantastic.
Yeah, first date, meet her at a nice restaurant, and her ex-boyfriend ended up being there. And they talked more than we did. So I set up a second date, and I had a friend show up as my ex and left with her.
That's great. The planning, the plotting, and the execution of that is simply fantastic. So 5724, thank you for that, because that's next level incredible. Thank you.
That is like, I love that, because you very easily could have been like, whatever, and on to the next one.
Right.
But the fact that you took the time to like, I'm gonna mess with this woman, and I'm gonna win. You won. That is fantastic.
Could you imagine explaining that to a friend? Like, hey, listen, here's the setup. Yada yada yada. You got to go there and act like you like me, and just that. I'd love to have a camera on that stuff. Fantastic. These are rolling in now. You guys are wonderful.
Oh, I mean, I'm even getting some on my personal text line.
Oh, we got the first one, 8970. I thought we'd get more of this. LeBron James.
LeBron might be up there. Like, okay, here's what's interesting about LeBron. So I look at him and compare him to pro wrestling, you know. He was the wonder kid out of Akron, and he plays for the hometown team, and everybody's excited. Well, then he makes the heel turn, and he goes to Miami, and a lot of people don't like him. But then he rights the wrong, and he comes back, and he goes to Cleveland, and he wins the championship, and so he's the hero again. And I don't think anybody was – like, I've talked to people that are from Cleveland that are like, yeah, I wasn't really mad at him when he went to L.A. I mean, it's like whatever. But now he's just become such a whiny, baby on everything that people have turned on him again. So I think that's a good one.
I thought we'd get more than that, so that's number 1 that's rolling through there.
I got to vote for Mark Gastineau.
Gastineau. Why? What did Mark Gastineau do to you?
It was not me.
I know. I know, not you. He's the original sack celebration champion. He's the reason that the NFL banned the sack dances.
Oh yeah.
He was part of the might be the best nickname ever in sports. He's part of the New York Jets sack exchange.
Right. The person that texts me is a fan of the other New York team.
Oh, okay.
So that should tell you who it
Is
is.
it Eli Manning texting you again?
It is not Eli Manning.
Okay.
It is Sean Henry.
Oh, Gastineau living rent-free in his head.
Yeah.
But
Why does a Giants fan care about the Jets, though?
why not?
That's what I want.
Because they've been awful since Super Bowl III for 55 years?
True. 4309. My pimp hand is heavy, and I'd love to slap the taste out of Jimmy Kimmel's mouth.
Oh.
That's a good one.
I can't keep up with these, so.
Gene in Spring Hill, Corey Perry. Let's see.
Here's an interesting one. Michael says Caleb Williams, especially with the fingernail painting with Utah, can't stand him and what he's doing now. Yeah, I could see that. A little disdain for.
Oh, here's a really good one. 3696. This is definitely a Preds fan. Sean Avery. Oh, he was a little punk bleep. You know what?
Easy. Yep.
Yeah, Sean Avery. So he played for the Rangers and a few other teams. I remember he ducked Tutu for like a whole season, and Tutu wanted a piece of him. and Sean Avery would be. I mean, he would always just take little cheap shots, and then he'd run away, and then the goon would come over and fight either Hordichuk or Jordan Tutu, and finally they get. My dad and I were at the game in Nashville, and they go after it. They both get sent to the box for like 2 minutes for roughing. And I told my dad, I'm like, this is going down. As soon as they come out of the box, this is going down. And they both come out, and Sean has to skate past Tutu to skate back to the Rangers bench. Toots comes out, throws the gloves down, and basically just moves it to center ice. It's like, we're doing this. And they finally did it, and Toots beat his ass. But
good. That's a good one.
That was a very good one.
I remember that.
We will get to all of these coming up because these are fantastic. But we got to get to Greg Wyshynski. We will talk to him coming up next about everything going on in the world of hockey after the All-Star break. We'll do that next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
And speaking of medical house calls, listen, friends, I want you to say goodbye to all those high medical bills. When you use medical house calls, you don't have to worry about hidden fees or surprise charges. Medical house calls is revolutionizing how patient care is getting done. Now, patients pay one flat fee no matter the treatment, making medical house calls more affordable than the average urgent care and emergency room. Also, the cold and flu season is here. You can get tested and treated without leaving your home. Their mobile medical services are here to make your health a top priority. Visit medicalhousecalls.com and see what everyone is talking about and read the numerous great reviews Medical House Calls has gotten. In fact, Chuck McDowell loved the treatment he received and the commitment and the care. He bought the company. Yeah, medicalhousecalls.com, where the nearest clinic is your home.
Jason Big Joe here on this Thursday, and every Thursday at 9:30 we talk to ESPN's Greg Wyshynski, presented by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. The All-Star break has come and gone. The Predators back in action on Saturday. Greg, good morning. How are you?
A little under the weather. I think I'm rocking a post-All-Star game head cold, which is probably the byproduct of being in very, very small bars and also a fan fest that was as packed as I've ever seen a fan fest before. Like, people have been making the argument that Toronto should host the All-Star game every year, and I used to think that's a bad idea. But given how excited that city was, and given how excited the players were to be a part of it in Toronto, there was some evidence that maybe we should just do that. It was a really good time.
Yeah, well, it looked like it was a good time, and watching all the festivities and everything. Thought, Justin Bieber and Philip Forsberg becoming best friends. That was good. So it looked like you all had a good time. But some different things came out of that, and I'll start with the obvious. Finally, the NHL players going back to the Olympics. I know that this is something that everybody wanted.
It really is. And I talked to NHLPA boss Marty Walsh recently, and I asked him, you got the job last year when you went around to all these teams. What was the number one topic from the players? And he said, without hesitation, international play. So I give the Players Union a lot of credit. I mean, not only did they get the Olympics in the last collective bargaining agreement, but they also were really aggressive in getting everybody to the table and figuring out a way to get this thing closed. And, the NHL, for those who are a little bit nervous about them backing out of this, like they have backed out of previous Olympics, I think the difference is that the Olympics is now part of a larger international schedule. If you're doing a World Cup every 2 years, the Olympics every 2 years, then at least you are getting a thing on the calendar that the NHL can make money at, because they obviously don't make any money from the IOC. So I'm confident that we're going, and I'm confident that we'll maybe keep going now that the NHL has established this international schedule that they laid out over the weekend.
Some other things that came out of Gary Bettman's kind of state of the league and all those things, that the E word, the expansion word, was brought up. Do you feel like that it is going to happen again, or is this just something that's going to come up every few years and we're going to talk about it? And cities that don't currently have teams are going to be brought up, maybe similar to what's been happening in baseball.
With the amount of money that's on the table right now for buying an NHL expansion franchise, I definitely think it's going to happen again. I mean, you're talking over $1 billion in expansion fees if you want a team, which is why, you can't have the expansion conversation without talking about the Coyotes and their plight. And the latest is that, they're going to try to bid on this parcel of land. That process could play out for 10 weeks. Everybody's wondering if they're going to move this place like Salt Lake City. I happen to think that there are other local ownership possibilities to keep the team in Phoenix. And I know the NHL wants to keep them there because it's a huge television market. But I also wonder, what the appetite is for the NHL's owners to take that $1 billion expansion fee off the table when it comes to Salt Lake City. I mean, I'm not sure if they want to. I think the owner of the Jazz wants an expansion team, which means he knows how much an expansion team costs. And I wonder ultimately, they moved Atlanta to Winnipeg because Winnipeg was never going to pony up for an expansion fee, right? So I think Salt Lake is an expansion city. I'm not sure if it's a relocation city, and I think that's kind of playing into the way things are playing out in Phoenix right now too.
Here's my follow-up, though, on the Coyotes. I mean, this has been going on for over 10 years, basically. This trying to keep it there. And at what point, though, does the NHL have to say, look, we've done everything we could, we got to move on?
I think that happens when they feel like they have done everything they could. And I think the issue right now for the NHL is, have they just gone down the road too far with this particular owner that's the thing that needs to change? I've talked to some people in Arizona. There's a perception that there are other local ownership groups that could step up to buy the team. There's the perception that the Phoenix Suns owner, Matt Ashiba, is kind of like lurking in the background, desirous to own both the Suns and the Coyotes to get a new arena at some point. So I only think we get to that point of like we've done this dance for too long when there's no more dance partners left. And I think the real conundrum for the NHL right now is like if you did feel that you needed to get the team out of the hands of Alex Morello, how do you do that without a very contentious legal situation and trying to wrestle the team from him? It's one of the things that's definitely on the table down there, and I'm fascinated to see how it plays out, because if there's one thing we've learned about the Coyote situation, it's to expect the unexpected. I don't think any of us thought that there was going to be an option for them to play in a college hockey arena for 4 years, right, when things were going sour, and yet here we are.
ESPN's Greg Wyshynski talking some hockey with us here on the Chase and Big Joe show.
Hey, Greg, I've got a great trait. When somebody asks me a question that I don't know and I know very little on the subject, I'll repeat the question back to them. So people are asking me about, hey, you think the Preds will trade UC Saros? I'm like, well, do you think the Preds will trade UC Saros? What do you think? I mean, there's a lot of chatter out there, Greg, and this could be something for the city of Nashville, especially for Preds fans who love this guy.
You know, I was thinking about this the other day because I was thinking about how many times the media outside of Nashville tried to fantasy cast a Pekka Rinne trade when things looked like they were changing for Nashville. And all the time it was kind of like there was always that line of succession, you know, like Saros was coming up. They wanted to keep Rinne around to solidify the position and then to help Saros, you know, up through the ranks. And I could see the same situation with him and Askarov. I mean, I think we all know that Askarov's going to be the goalie of the future there. But, you know, unless somebody absolutely blows them away with a deal they just can't say no to, I could see Saros sticking around for a bit in Nashville.
Oh, nice. Hey, we had a question earlier. We're talking about a celebrity or athlete that you can't stand, that if they gave you a great shout-out, how would you react? And we had some people call in and say Sean Avery, Corey Perry, about, you know, this could not – Ryan Kessler. Who have you ever had a contentious interview, Greg, with anybody? I'm sure you have, but anything just come that stands out above anything else?
I mean, so I've got, like, a long-standing beef with Jeremy Roenick. He wrote the foreword to my book. And I swear to God, like, I don't know if AI was available back then, but it definitely feels like AI wrote the foreword to my book rather than Jeremy Roenick. I've interviewed him before. He spent the entirety of the interview on his phone playing some sort of, like, app game. He had beef with me during the whole thing of me helping to get John Scott in the All-Star game. Just, like, the epitome of never meet your heroes. Because I loved Roenick back as a fan. But, I mean, like, just have absolutely no time for him in his current post-playing days incarnation.
Wow, that's a good one, and I don't think you're the only one on that for sure. Greg Wyshynski is here with us. So, the Saros question keeps coming up for sure. But when you look at the Predators as a whole, I mean, we've talked about it with you that you had them making the playoffs. They still are very much in the hunt, but I would put them, you know, on the fringe right now. At what point do you think that Barry Trotz and other teams that are right there on the fringe have to make that decision? Okay, maybe it's not this year. Let's go ahead and sell off and get some draft capital that we can use moving forward, because the Preds have quite a few unrestricted free agents to work with.
Yeah, I think Barry knows when that date is, and I'm sure it's probably fairly close to the deadline. But I also think Barry knows that for a young team to get a chance to earn more playoff experience, even if it's in a kind of a cameo appearance in the playoffs because you're just there to get whacked by Colorado or Winnipeg or Vancouver, is invaluable to a good young team. And so I do wonder if, you know, I don't expect him to be expect to see him buying expiring contracts at the deadline, but I do think he's going to stick with this for a while in the hopes that they can maybe get on a little bit of a roll, really make things interesting at the wild card. Because, you know, the fact that the LA Kings have come back to the pack has really changed the math, as one GM put it for me, at the bubble in the West. Because it used to be like 4 or 5 teams angling for one spot. If the Kings keep plummeting and not turning this thing around with a new head coach, it could be 4 or 5 teams for 2 spots, and that's a big difference.
Yeah, and by the way, I just want to brag on myself for a second. I told people, when the All-Star break started, hey, get your bets ready, hammer the Vegas Golden Knights against Edmonton, and I was just glad to be right about that.
Well, like the thing about that I find fascinating is like outside of losing to Calgary, who's their blood rival, I got to imagine there's no other team Edmonton wanted to drop that streak to than Vegas.
Yeah.
Like Vegas is starting to creep into their heads a little bit that every time they play an important game against the Golden Knights find a way to win. You know, whether it's the playoffs or in a game that felt like a playoff game the other night. So, the streak was awesome. It definitely elevated the Oilers back to being a contender and showed what they're able to do. But, I mean, that's the last team you want to drop a game to in that kind of situation because it almost builds up the case of, can we really beat these guys in the playoffs? Oh, and by the way, we're probably playing them in the first round.
Yeah, exactly. Greg, great stuff as always. Feel better, and we'll talk to you next week.
Anytime. Thanks, boys.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, joining us here on the program as he does every Thursday at 9:30, presented by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Coming up next, speaking of something else that I was right about, I want to brag, victory lap, if you will.
Sure, I got you.
Because there was some pretty significant news out of college football yesterday. We'll discuss that next. Chasing Big Joe, presented by Regal Realty Group, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game here on this Thursday, broadcasting from the Spring Hill Heating and Cooling Game Nashville studios, keeping your home feeling comfortable all year round. We'll talk to former NFL and VFL punter Craig Colquitt coming up at the top of the hour. Of course, he won a couple of rings with the Pittsburgh Steelers. His sons, Dustin and Britton Colquitt, punted a long time in the NFL and both won. They both won, right? Right, Joe?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
He won. Dustin won with the Chiefs, and when did he win one?
No.
The Chiefs in 19. Yeah, he was the punter on the Chiefs in 19.
I don't.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
You're right.
Because I saw him in Kansas City that weekend.
That's right.
I saw
and
you
then
too,
Brenton,
and you didn't. You didn't.
Brenton with the Broncos.
Correct. There you go, buddy.
So, there we go. So we'll talk to him. All right. So I like to call these victory laps, and we don't do these often, but every now and then, if you're right on something, you want to take a victory lap. ESPN announced a new addition to College Game Day yesterday. His name's Nick Saban. How about that?
Yeah.
Haven't we been saying on this show that's exactly – we said this going back to October. He's going to call it a career, and then he'll end up on game day.
Actually, you said it because we brought this up after MTSU lost to Alabama, and I said I think he's done because I had people told me down in Tuscaloosa he's not a fan of the playoffs, he hates the NIL, and he will be done at the end of the year. And you said he's going to leave Alabama and go right to game day, and I was like, no, yes. So credit goes to you, Chaser, not me.
Well,
you.
Well, look, I think he's going to be really good at it. I do. He's done some TV. He seems very comfortable. Everybody kind of sees Saban in the press conferences and on the sideline because that's Coach Saban. But you're going to see Nick, the former coach, and I think he's good at it. He'll show his personality. He'll give great insight because he just came out of it. It keeps him involved in football. He's going to be part of their draft coverage as well, which I think is going to be tremendous because he can, he'll have a ton of players that get their name called. So good on ESPN for doing this. It's the perfect piece to start the segue, and they've already kind of started this, but like a new group, for game day. They Corso, it needs to be it. And then you have Saban as the former coach, and I mean he's not going to do the headgear and all that stuff, but have him, as the coach that's on there. Herb Street's not going anywhere. I think he's fine, but now they've kind of brought in some newer blood with McAfee, and I think he and McAfee will be good because he's been going on McAfee's show.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, give us the biting commentary and the criticism when warranted, and then the praise when warranted.
Yeah,
don't just.
I think he will.
Just, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, will Tom Brady do it? I mean, Tom Brady's going to take that role in Fox. Is he going to be coming after his friends that he knows?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this before on the show about Joe Montana did it for 1 year. He's like, I can't criticize these guys because it's hard. These are my friends. I don't want to do that. I got to face them later on. So if you really want to do it, you could go ahead and do it. So if he could do that, I think it'd be great because it's Nick Saban and take us inside the building and tell us all things that go on, and that's fantastic. And tell us stories and things that happen and experiences and problems and all the things like that. If he could do that, I think it's a win-win. But I think it's a great hire for ESPN.
I've laughed at the meme that's kind of been circulating since Saban retired and Belichick left the Patriots, and Belichick not coaching this year, that it's home makeover, but for football teams with Saban and Belichick, and they go and like make over football teams.
Oh my goodness, that'd be fantastic. Would you watch a Manning cast like with Belichick and Saban?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I'd love that if they did something like that, and maybe they will. Who knows? I think Belichick would be good at this too. Like I really like Greg Olson. I think Greg Olson does a really, really good job. And I think they're screwing him over to bring Brady in. And I think it's the wrong move. I mean, I'm sure Brady's going to work at it and he'll be fine, but I think it's the wrong move. And Kevin Burkhart's a pro, and he's going to do a good job, but with Brady. But they just had really good chemistry. So I hate it that Olson's getting moved out for Brady. I just really don't like it.
Yeah, and we'll see how that plays out with him. But you feel bad for Olsen. You go and call top level games. Next thing you know, you're calling all the Carolina Panther games, which is yeah. But let's Brady could do this for a year and say, you know what, I'm not, because it's a commitment. I mean, it's travel for 17, 18 weeks and study and everything that goes on and meeting the teams and getting to that city on that Thursday or Friday and flying back out that late Sunday night. We'll see if he's up for it, and because I think he's living and loving his life now that he earned. I mean, he earned every bit of it.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to see how he does and how he calls, if you like him or not. I mean, the Romo hate now is next level.
Yeah, and I don't really get that either. But
yeah, me neither.
It is what it is.
Right.
So real quick before we get to Craig Colquitt, you've heard these spots that originally they were you and then they became me of going to this trip to Ireland.
Yes.
Through Colette. I'm going to be doing a meet and greet at my favorite bar, Brewhouse West, on February 19th at 5:30. You can come out, you can meet me, you can talk to the folks at Colette, learn a little bit more about the trip. We're getting people signed up. So come check that out, 5:30 on February 19th. It's a Monday at my favorite bar, Brewhouse West. They've been nice enough to let us do it there, and they're on Charlotte. And we'll have a good time there. This is going to be a really cool trip. 8 days, 9 meals involved, going to Dublin, the Blarney Stone, Dingle Peninsula, Cliffs of Moher. We're going to go to a whiskey distillery, all those things. I'm really looking forward to it because I've never been to Ireland, and it's a bucket list trip for me to want to do that. So thank you for not looking at your calendar. And
yeah, you're welcome, pal.
Allowing me to be able to go. But Colette handles everything. All you got to do is go through them, and then they'll get it all taken care of. But February 19th at 5:30 at Brewhouse West in West Nashville on Charlotte Pike. So come by and see me then. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. All right, Craig Colquitt going to join us next. Won a couple Super Bowls. His sons have won Super Bowls. We'll talk to him next. Jason Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2, chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game here on this Thursday. He's Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier with us on the ones and twos. The big game, the Super Bowl, this weekend between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. We talked to a man that has played in some Super Bowls and has some rings. His sons have done it too. Craig Colquitt on the line with us, former NFL punter, and, of course, a Vol for life. Craig, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely, a Vol for life.
So what is this week like? I mean, you've experienced it as a player. You've experienced it as a father of sons playing in a Super Bowl. What kind of take us through the emotions that you go through getting ready for this big game?
You know, I'm kind of torn. It's an interesting question because do the Chiefs to keep on winning because Dustin's not there. But interestingly, after Super Bowl 54, we met inside the stadium after the game, and Dustin's walking towards me, and we're just eyeing each other. It's pretty emotional because typical Mahomes, he comes back with, under 4 or 6 minutes to go in the game. And we just hugged each other, and he said, the pressure's off. He got his ring. Britton got his ring in Super Bowl 50, and I had mine. So the whole family's kind of electrified by it, because I didn't raise the boys in football, raised them in soccer, and all of a sudden it becomes their careers. And, and just it's been exciting. And I'm only enjoying football really now since the boys are probably going to retire, because I was so tense during their career that I literally was watching their games at the same time on DirecTV, and I'd go back and forth and watch their punts. They'd sometimes punt at the same time. So, but this time of year, it's kind of relief and sad too, because I hate football season's over.
It's interesting too to think about. You played with Terry Bradshaw. Britton won his with Peyton Manning, a fellow Vol for life, and Dustin with Mahomes. I mean, you've all three played with these, Hall of Fame dynamic quarterbacks. What's that like to be able to say that you were able to watch these guys every day?
Wow, you just gave me a good chapter in a book. I didn't really put that together, Bradshaw, Peyton, Mahomes, because, the Super Bowl's the Super Bowl. And the quarterbacks that get there and win, they're typically pretty good, probably make the Hall of Fame. So, yeah, it's very exciting. Terry's there, Peyton is there. I mean, it's no question Mahomes will be there. So, yeah, that's a good thought. I like it.
Well done. We're talking to Craig Colquitt this morning here on the Chase and Big Joe Show. All right, Craig, we talked years ago about this, but take me back to how you became a punter at the University of Tennessee. Did you see it in a student newspaper for tryouts? What was that like?
I was 20 years of age actually at the time, and I was working at a department store in Knoxville. And the manager in my department, he called me into his office and said, look at this ad in the paper. And George Cafago, who turned out to be my coach, put an ad in the paper, said Neil Clabo, the current punter, this is his last year. We're looking for punters to try out. Send in your resume. So I sent in some points about what I'd done in high school, and Cafago responded, and I walked on in 74 and got to experience George Cafago and Bill Battle in Tennessee. And but it was an ad in the newspaper. I answered it, and it was a great experience after that, change of life.
That is such a fantastic story. All right, so you go there. Next thing you know, you land in Pittsburgh. And then when did you quickly realize that you were surrounded by a lot of greatness?
Let me back up and answer it this way. I always wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy. In fact, Gil Brandt sent me a letter every week my senior year. You're going to be a Cowboy. You're going to be a Cowboy. 2 weeks before the draft, Chuck Noll and three coaches flew into Knoxville and tried me out. Horrible tryout. I had a great tryout with Dick, the head scout for I just lost his name, can't believe it. The head scout for the Steelers had a great kicking practice for him at Neyland. But flopped with no, that they drafted me the day of the draft. They called me and took me in the third, and I was disappointed because Dallas said they were going to take me in the fifth round. Pittsburgh picks me up. The public relations director, Joe Gordon, called and said, "Hey, what do you think about playing with Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, Lynn Swann, Jack?" Goes through these names, and I go, "Wow, that's amazing." And they'd already won 2 Super Bowls, so I thought, I'm going to Pittsburgh. So I'm going to make the best that I'm not going to be a coward. When I got there, everybody was so professional, just so down-to-earth kind of guys. It was an easy transition for a country boy going into big city Pittsburgh.
But then, Craig, you go to the Super Bowl and you beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, yeah. What's that big word, oxymoron? Can't make that up.
Right.
I'd befriended Danny White at that time, and he ended up staying as the backup quarterback punter. But yeah, there's Tony Dorsett too. I thought that would be a shoe-in with Roger Staubach anyway if I went there. But yeah, we beat them, and in fact, I just watched the replay of the game last night. And my grandkids are making fun of me. The only time I'm in the film is when I'm jumping up and down on the sidelines when the Cowboys fumbled on a kickoff.
And then you win the next year. You beat the Rams out in the Rose Bowl. I've always tell people it's better to be lucky than good. And what a career to get drafted by the Steelers and win 2 Super Bowls. I mean, it's hard to wrap your mind around that, I guess, at the time, and you're in the middle of all that, of what's going on. Now you look back thinking, man, what a ride that was. Is that kind of what your thoughts are now?
Oh, absolutely. I had a guy, a sportscaster, call me before Super Bowl 54, and he did an article on us, and he said, you know what, you can't put to numbers what's happened with you and your 2 sons. Same position, same college, going to the Super Bowl. He said it's unheard of, and he said you can't put it into the odds of numbers, but he said I'm going to put it in the paper to say your all's experience is like being bit by a shark, hit by a car, and struck by lightning all in the same hour.
Oh, my goodness. That's a great way to put it. Let me ask you this, Craig. I remember this. We talked a couple years ago, but there was an instant where you had your Super Bowl ring and you were showing it to somebody, and did they inadvertently take it and forgot to give it back?
No. Well, here's the true story. I was entertaining in downtown Nashville. School board members from all over the state. The business I was in at that time, we were cleaning and maintenance service for schools. And yes, I was letting all the ladies, that was before iPhones, letting all the ladies wear the rings. People are snatching pictures and everything. But I put them back actually put them back into the case that I had with me and couldn't find them. And I put an ad in the paper, said I'd pay a hefty fine, somebody bring it back, no questions asked. And I went to a trade show up in Missouri, Lake of the Ozarks, and bad trade show, left the building, went out to my car and threw my case into the back of the car, and I hear bing, bing, bing. And there was the ring. It was jammed inside my suitcase. I almost gave up $7,000 for that ring, but found it. Thank goodness.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. We're talking to Craig Colquitt here on the Chasing Big Joe show. So how, watching your sons punt and your nephew and, you guys doing all that, how have you seen punting evolve, not only in college football but in the NFL? Because – there's so many different things that we know about, with analytics and how you could take care of your bodies and things like that. So what were some things that you saw your sons and your nephew do that maybe you didn't do back when you were punting?
I think the biggest thing that I've observed is the mass that people are putting on. They're getting thicker. Stonehouse is the perfect example for me, and Brett Kern too. They're thick-bodied guys, butt, thighs. I still coach, and I get opportunities to get kids scholarships too. But I tell them, I say, get in there and work on your butt muscles and your thighs, build those up, because when that hits the football, it's going to give you that impact that you want. So I was almost 6'2", 172 pounds when I went in the NFL, and I maxed out at 182. Dustin was 220, and Britt was 215. So their mass makes that difference plus the flexibility. And I wish I'd had the same drop, the Aussie drop at my time. I definitely would have used that inside the 40-yard line.
Did you do kickoffs, or were you strictly a punter?
Strictly a punter.
Because Brett Kern, he comes on our show every week and has talked about that, the guys that punt for years and years and years are the ones that don't do kickoffs because the motion is so different and it puts more wear and tear on your body.
If you want to pull a muscle as a punter, start kicking off because it is. You're trying to kill the ball. And, I listen to Brett on your program too all the time, really love his insight. If you're trying to crush the ball, it's like golf, unless you really control the club head or your foot, you're going to wear out the muscles quicker. So Brett's right. You'll possibly even injure your back. I actually pulled a ham messing around with kickoffs one day and shouldn't have been doing that. So, no, you're right. Longevity's limited if you're going to try to do more than just punt.
We're talking with Craig Colquitt. Craig, a few more here. Somebody texted in and wanted me to ask you this about with the Steelers. What was the team close? I mean, you were there for 6-7 years. The first Super Bowl teams. How close were the teams? What was that like being? I mean, did you know that you were part of greatness with Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, Lynn Swann, Stallworth, on and on and on? Did you know that, or was it years later to kind of hit you like, oh my gosh, I was part of that?
Yeah, I guess it's reflective because of what would have been the impact of free agency. Because my era, there was no free agency. You just tried to get your maximum contract. So that whole team had been there for years. We knew each other's moods, and the camaraderie was just unbelievable. We've got your back. And it was just fun. A lot of male banter going along, but not that a free agent's going to come in and not fit in. It's just, I think that says even more about Pittsburgh is it was built and lasted as long as it did because of Dick Haley scouts and Chuck Noll coaching. But looking back, I think it's because we didn't have free agency that we could thrive like that. Now you plug in players and hope they last 3 years.
That's crazy. Craig, thank you. This has been great. Thank you for the stories. Thank you for the time. We appreciate you and love it, man. So thanks for everything, Craig.
Thanks for keeping me relevant.
Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
You too. Really
Go
good
Chiefs.
stuff. Craig Colquitt, former punter, and his sons, his nephew. I mean, the whole Colquitt clan out of the University of Tennessee. So really cool stuff and
cool.
going down memory lane there. I mean, how cool is that, though, that you and your two sons all have Super Bowl rings and then played with these game-changing Hall of Fame quarterbacks?
I mean, he landed. That's why you lucky than good. I mean, you land with the Steelers right there, and you win 2 Super Bowls, and you beat your beloved Cowboys, and you're part of, the greatest kind of franchise maybe in NFL hit. People just love them and be a part of that. That's just really cool. He's a good dude, man. But I would have lost it about the Super Bowl rings. I would have not been able to sleep.
Yeah. There's speaking of the Super Bowl, Jared's been there all week. He's going to talk to Will Levis as a one-on-one with him that will air right at 2:00 today, so you won't want to miss that. But there was something that came out of Radio Row that got Titans fans' attention yesterday, and I'm wondering, what if it happened? We'll discuss next. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
I know you can't control it, but if you could, where would you want to go?
Whoever wants to take me. I mean, it's hard to say. I'd love to go to.
He wants the Niners to get rid of Kittle, and then he wants to go to the 49ers.
I'd be all right.
Let him say it.
I'd be all right with going to the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I liked it down in the Georgia, Tennessee area. I mean, I thought it was cool, but that'd be a cool spot to be.
You hear that, Titans?
That was on Pro Football Focus, or Pro Football Talk, I should say. Jason Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Brock Bowers, where would he want to go? Says the Titans. And, of course, that got people's attention yesterday. And, if that happens, look, I wouldn't hate it if they ended up drafting Brock Bowers.
No, if you go out and get a good left tackle.
Sure.
No,
but, I think you can – say what?
In free agency, if you get a left tackle and you fill that position and Brock Bowers drops you at 7, take him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because you need a pass catcher. He has a chance to become – a really, really good tight end in this league and live up to all the hype. I mean, he's one of the best tight ends to come out of college in a long time. So, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. Now, he ended up going on with Jared a little bit later on, and Jared followed up on why he'd be interested in the Titans.
You just made waves in Nashville by going on Pro Football Talk and saying you want to play for the Titans. So why exactly you want to play for the Titans?
I mean, I think it'd be cool. I mean, I've been up there a couple times to Tennessee, and I kind of would love to stay in the Southeast. So yeah.
There you go.
That's nice.
I mean, I don't think there's too much to that,
right?
But at the same time, you'll pay attention to it.
Yeah. Can we go back? Dr. Crane's going to pull this. Here's what I hate about sometimes sports talk radio. Go back to the original when Brock is on there. If you don't play this, Dr.
I know you can't control it, but if you could, where would you want to go?
Whoever wants to take me. I mean, it's hard to say. I'd love to go to.
He wants the Niners to get rid of Kittle, and then he wants to go to the 49ers.
I'd be all right.
Let him say it.
I'd be all right with going to the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I liked it down in the Georgia, Tennessee area. I mean, I thought it was cool, but that'd be a cool spot to be.
You hear that, Titans?
All right, so I admire Jared for this, but I hate it. He's fixing the answer, right? Let him talk. That bugged me.
Yeah.
Let him talk. Jared does a great
Chris
job.
Sims.
I know. Chris Sims, just shut up and ask the question. Let the guest talk. Yep. Don't try you and I, we text each other throughout the show the entire time, right? Because we're trying to figure out you go, I go, let Dr. Crane, so we're not stepping on each other. It's just professional. That just I heard that, Chase, and it just drove me insane. Let the guy talk.
Well, because you got a guy like Chris Sims that he's trying to be funny and he's trying to insert himself and so Florio, good on Florio, because Florio was like, let him answer it. He's trying to answer it. Shut up.
Right.
We're trying to make news here. Like Florio in his mind, knows they're going to get a soundbite and that, shows like ours are going to talk about it. Yeah. So it's like, shut up and let him say it. And then, Jared follows up like you just made waves. And I mean, I don't think there's any rhyme or reason other than he likes the city, which is cool. But I know, do we have the one he was asked about Levis? Jared asked him about Levis.
About Will Levis.
Will Levis? We played him, I think my freshman year or sophomore year? I think he was just there my freshman year. But yeah, he's been balling.
I mean, so not too much there, but
it's like a Joe Dubin soundbite.
He's all right.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, quarterback.
Yeah, but at the same time, if they announce at 7, they're taking Brock Bowers. I think everybody in this market is going to go, okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah. Not only that, just the name Brock Bowers. I mean, the alliteration sounds good. He's a hell of a player. Look, and this game is kind of developing into the tight ends. They're getting more and more of a prominent role that goes on. And sidetrack here, I was listening to Robbie this morning talking about Kelsey being the best tight end of all time. A hard disagreement with that. I'll go off. That's another tangent we'll talk about another time.
Okay, well, who is?
I mean, John Mackey was amazing. Kellen Winslow was amazing as a tight end. So to say he's the greatest ever just because you saw him, I get the opinion, but just I don't know. It just things like that bug me.
Yeah, but here, I mean, I hate this as an argument, but
I
think it's more true about tight ends than just about anything. They are almost two different positions now. Like the guys you name, Winslow and John Mackey, like played a different position than the ones that Kelsey and Gronk and these guys are playing now.
But it doesn't mean to demean the accomplishments of
I don't think
John Mackey.
I don't think anybody's demeaning them.
I mean, the
I
tight
just think
end.
it's two different types of tight ends.
I mean, the tight end award in college is called the John Mackey Award. I mean, you go back and watch. That's the thing now is you got YouTube. You can watch these guys and say and all that just because you're seeing it in your face. And that's fine. But to say, I mean, like, look, he's in a group of a lot of guys that could be considered the greatest of all time with that goes on. It's like, I've got the problem with, well, he's the greatest player of all time. No, I mean, you can't. Jerry Rice, Jim Brown, and John Hanna were all excellent at their positions. To say they're the greatest player, you throw Lawrence Taylor. I mean, at that position, those guys were the greatest players of all time at their position. And I understand that, at least in my mind. But that's that's another argument. That's a June topic. Right? That's what we're doing in June.
Yeah. So I am curious though, because I've heard all these people, discussing discussing what the Titans are going to do in the mock drafts, and pretty much every mock draft right now has the Titans taking Joe Alt. Field Yates from ESPN, who's doing their stuff now with Mel Kiper now that McShay's gone. He's got his first mock coming out next week, and he pretty much said it yesterday with Jared that he's got Joe Alt going to the Titans at pick 7. If they do that, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to be mad. It's a deep draft at receiver and tackle. The Joe Alt is the one that is just day one ready. He like you can put him in tomorrow and he'll be fine. The others may take a little time, and he was saying that. But I also go back to something that Brian Callahan said, and we'll discuss that coming up next, that kind of makes me wonder if they're showing their hand a little bit, if you should pay more attention to the Bowers and the other pass catchers out there. We'll discuss more of that coming up next here on the Chasing Big Joe Show, presented by Regal Realty Group, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. All right, my friends, do you want to go to Ireland October 18th through the 25th? You can explore the many shades of Ireland with Colette. Explore the historic city of Dublin. You can kiss the famous Blarney Stone, stand on the spectacular cliffs of Moher, all with me. Really excited about this trip. It's all through Colette. They take care of everything, all the details, the flights, the meals, the hotels, sightseeing, local experiences. You just have to show up and have a great time. You can give them a call at 800-581-8942, or you can come out to the Brew House West on Charlotte Pike, February 19th. That's a Monday at 5:30. You can meet me. You can talk to the folks from Colette and learn more about this awesome trip. 800-581-8942 for more information on Colette and this Irish adventure with me, Chase McCabe, October 18th through the 25th. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Hey, we want to say this. Due to the amount of rain expected to impact the Nashville area over the next few days, we have unfortunately made the tough decision to postpone Super Saturday to a future date. Any tickets that have been purchased will be honored on the rescheduled date, and you can stay tuned for more details, so we'll pass that along once we know. Just looked like it wasn't going to be good this weekend with the weather, so making that tough call. But also, you can continue to weigh in on our text line or call 615-737-1025. Our question of the day, all week, it's been your worst date story to win these Def Leppard tickets, but also taking today, is there a celebrity that if they that you just absolutely can't stand, and if they gave you a shout out, how would you react? We've had some really good answers on the text line at 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So keep those coming. We'll get to more of those coming up in just a few minutes. But talking about pass catchers, and I put obviously Brock Bowers in that category. I do think we should pay attention to the Titans, potentially taking a receiver or a pass catching tight end at pick number 7, based on a story that Brian Callahan told Jared Stillman when he sat down with him. The debate that the Bengals had: do they take Penei Sewell, the tackle, or do they take Jamar Chase, the wide receiver? This was the conversation with Jared from a few weeks ago.
Even in a game where we got battered up front and Joe got sacked 9 times and probably hit 15, and we really, outside of one drive and one explosive play, didn't really do much in that game. And we get a turnover late in the game, and now they're going to play 2-man, and Jamar goes and wins versus 2-man and wins the game. And so those moments have always stuck with me. When a push comes to shove, do you want to have someone that can go score touchdowns and go win versus tight coverage? And in that debate, the Sewell-Chase debate, which was, again, 2 players that you knew, whichever one we take is probably going to be a 10-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro style player. And Penei was fantastic, and we loved him. And Jamar was fantastic, and we loved him. And the debate went back and forth, and which one do we need? And I landed on the Jamar Chase side because I saw what he could do for our offense. The difference there to me is, like, Jamar was an elite player. And in that moment for our team in Cincinnati, the elite player that can score touchdowns versus the elite player that can protect the quarterback, with the style of quarterback that we had and the style of offense that we ran, we took the guy that could score touchdowns.
That was Brian Callahan, Titans' new head coach, sitting down with Jared Stillman. And again, Will Levis one-on-one with Jared today at 2:00. So that's my takeaway. He says, taking the guy that can score touchdowns, that really stands out to him. What do you think about that? Do you think that that's where they end up going at 7? Is not to dismiss Joe Alt, but he's going to look at the offense that he wants to run and surrounding Will Levis with weapons. You can get tackles later or free agency, and you go and get the dynamic playmaker on offense.
Give me the playmaker all day, every day, and 5 times on Sunday. Give me somebody that could take you to the next level. They just had him with Peyton Manning. They surrounded him with with Marvin Harrison and with Reggie Wayne, and started adding to him and what he could do. Dallas Clark and all those things that made Peyton Manning fantastic. Give him those weapons. Look, now you got Bill Callahan now, who could hopefully, get average guys and make him above average and let him, work his magic with these guys. But there was no debate for me. I remember all these boneheads back in the draft of 21, like, you got to take a lineman. He's going to get beat. Look, and Burrow's taking some beat. All quarterbacks are taking beatings, right? But how many times is Jamar Chase just like, my goodness. So I think if you get Levis, somebody they could build with camaraderie and go forward for a couple of years, I think you got to do that. I think you could solve this problem in free agency for left tackle. I really think you can with a new staff who can evaluate, unlike Vrabel.
You're bringing in one of the best offensive line coaches in football, and Bill Callahan.
Absolutely, and evaluate these guys and see what you got and work with them and go forward. If you can if they can get a left tackle in free agency and they go out in the draft and then get a good receiver, man, you're building. Your building blocks are there. Receiver, you got the left tackle, you got your quarterback. Things are in place to go forward. So there's a lot of unknowns still ahead, and you got to make sure you hit on them. But I think it's good. I mean, you're talking about something that is good for this football team. I'd go after the playmaker all day.
I would too. I mean, and here's the really scary part to this. And you know, Floyd always taught me that you just follow the board. The board will tell you what to do. You don't draft for need, all that stuff. You go with your board. And whatever the board is telling you at 7, that's what you need to do. And I feel like that there are 4 really good options for the Titans to take at 7 right now on February 8th. There are 4 really, really, really good options to take at 7. And if they do that, then I think Titans fans and everybody is gonna feel good. But it scares me because it's like it feels like a sure thing that you're not gonna screw it up. Which every time I feel that way, I'm like, oh, we're gonna screw this up. Like that's kind of where I'm at. But I think they can get this right now. You know, if there's surprises in front of them or a team jumps them and all of a sudden that, you know, one of these quarterbacks just falls after the combine and because a lot of people right now think that 4 quarterbacks are going and then Marvin Harrison. That's really your first 5 picks. Then you'd have a shot at Malik Neighbors, Odunze, Joe Alt, and then Brock Bowers. You know, I've seen some mock drafts that have Bowers, you know, after 7 and, you know, closer outside the top 10. I don't think that's going to be the case, but you never know. But right now, I feel like picking at 7, they're going to end up with a really, really good player that's going to help them for many, many years. Now, the question could be, too, that if, you know, Neighbors and Odunze were gone before you got there, you know, do you maybe and there's a team that like really, really wants Bowers, do you trade back and you know, get draft capital and then pick up a receiver or whatever? Because again, it's deep at tackle, it's deep at receiver.
All right, just get the playmaker. Be done with it. Yeah. Get the playmaker. Get your left tackle in free agency, and don't make this complicated. Don't make it complicated.
I don't even think you have to get your left tackle in free agency too. You could get one later, later in the draft. You could get one in the second round. There's going to be good players available.
You got to spend money somewhere, and why not free agency and identify that left tackle and bring him in. You're going to pay out the wazoo for him, but we'll see what they do. I just know there's a lot of good possibilities here. Teams could turn around in a season. You saw what the Texans did, who said this team can't put the right places in. Little influx of positivity and good play calling from Callahan. Next thing you know, this team's winning. Look, it's the AFC South. It's like nobody's going to go 15-2 next year.
Have you ever gone into the grocery store and you think, okay, I just need a couple of things. This won't take long, and then you start walking through and you go, oh wait, actually no, I need that. Oh, I need that. Oh, I need that. That's where the Titans are at. Yes, they need receiver. Yes, they need tackle, but they need a center. They need a corner. They could, maybe use another pass rusher because you can never have enough pass rushers in the National Football League. Probably need a middle linebacker as well. I mean, that list is long, and they're going to accomplish some of that in free agency. But and I hope you're right that this can be a Texans situation where if they turn it around in the first year with Brian Callahan, but I still think that packing your patience is probably going to be a good thing.
It will, and the good thing about it is we'll see it all play out here in a month with free agency and then 2.5 months with the draft, and it'll be interesting to see. This is a critical time. These are guys that are going to be here when that stadium opens in 2027. I mean, they had a decent draft last year. You hope we can do it again and keep it going, and just work on these guys and turn them into playmakers, and the future is bright. I mean, look, the Panthers, right? We know the Panthers aren't going to turn around. There's some talent on this Tennessee Titans football team that could turn it around next year with the right pieces in place, and it'll be fun to watch.
We have a text on our text line, Clint in Clarksville. Is Dr. Crane available anytime soon? I need my oven door glass cleaned.
So they're
Give me a day and time. Afternoons preferably because I'm here during the day. But day
he's
and time.
busy. He's busy.
Dr. Crane had the thing shining like brand new.
Oh, that'd be good. Shining like your head.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much.
Perfect.
Just give me the model number and we're good to go. I'll do some research.
All right, coming up next, we'll read more of your texts on our question of the day. A celebrity that you can't stand, but what would you do if they gave you a shout-out? Would you be nice or would you punch them in the face? Like, what would you do? We'll take more of your texts on that, plus bad date stories as well. On the line, Def Leppard, Journey, and Steve Miller Band tickets at Nissan Stadium, plus celebrity birthdays. And what day is it? Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
What's up? This is Scott Stapp from Creed, and you're listening to Robbie and Rocks Road on 102.5 The Game.
Explain it again with those nuggies.
What's up? This is Scott Stapp from Creed, and you're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 The Game.
Oh, Dr. Crane, great job. Chasing Big Joe, if you missed it from this morning, this was a little surprise we had for Joe Rexrode, getting Scott Stapp, who he just loves, his favorite band Creed, to record that open for them. Oh, man, that was really good stuff.
Oh man. Which led to our question. Joe Rexrode's not a big fan at all of Creed, and so Scott Stapp gives Joe a big shout out, and the reaction was great from those guys this morning on Robbie and Rexrode. It was such a fun show to listen to. And so our question was, what celebrity do you hate? If they gave you a shout out, what would you do? You know, would you freak out? Would you love it? Would you forgive them? It's just the questions and the responses we had all morning were fantastic. Again, you listeners out there are great. Thank you for the interaction, the text line, the phone call. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, it's been good. Just reading through some of these this morning. Let's see. Was there one that a lot of O.J. Simpson, which I don't think that really needs an explanation.
Right. LeBron, really, the people do not like LeBron, and that took off big time about LeBron and the consternation of what you would do if you can't stand LeBron. He's like, hey, yeah, I love Skyler, man. Shout out Skyler. Good luck. And you're like, oh, man. Guy just despises giving me these saying good things about me. What do you do? So the responses are great, but yeah, a lot of LeBron came through.
Can I just say something about our text line that cracks me up every time? Is I can always tell that people, you know, because we live in an on-demand society, so you can go to thegamenashville.com and listen to our shows or subscribe to the podcast. I can always tell when somebody's listening back to a previous show because they just randomly text in about something that we're not talking about, but something that was talked about earlier, and it always makes me laugh. Like, oh, they must be listening to Robbie and Rexrode from 7 a.m.
We got a couple. John Rich, too. A lot of people don't like John Rich.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, so these are great. You guys are fantastic on the text line.
Amy from Arkansas, Sydney Crybaby Crosby, and Patrick 10 Cent Kane. Okay, Preds fan. Another one, 1423, I'd trip Sidney Crosby down the up escalator just because it would be funny watching his face hit the edge of each step.
And that's some thought right there. Yeah, that's in deep right there with Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, Corey and Gallatin, Jared Stillman, as he put, Casey and Gallatin. But Colin Kaepernick, that's another one. Gene and Spring Hill, anyone who played or plays for the Red Sox. He's a Yankees fan. Okay. Feinbaum gets one.
These are great.
From Ryan.
Also, we did
Floyd Mayweather.
We did we have a leader in the clubhouse chase for the Def Leppard tickets, Journey tickets about worst, best first date or best, worst, first, whatever. We have a leader in the clubhouse. I've written the number down. So, but send them in.
Is it the one we read earlier?
Yes, the one about having the fake date to counter with the real date, which is.
I'm going to go ahead and make the executive decision because there's several pairs. This person's going to win one.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, first date, meet her at a nice restaurant, and her ex-boyfriend ended up being there. They talked more than we did, so I set up a second date, and I had a friend show up and act as my ex, and then I left with her.
Just the thought, just the planning, the thought, the execution is next level. Well done.
Kenny the mailman wants to weigh in on hate on celebrities. Kenny, what's up?
I know you're pushed for timing right quick, but this celebrity gave me a shout out. It'd feel icky. I'll always feel creepy about him, but it's Joe Dubin himself. Because in a call a few months ago, you will remember this, I mentioned my lovely and gracious wife this June of 40 years, the wonderful Miss Babette. And Joe Dubin went, wait. Kenny Mailman, I know you're not married. You live in a van down by the river with a blow-up doll named Babette. Since that moment, whenever I hear Joe Dubin, I like him, but there's always something in the back of my mind saying he burned you far beyond anything you have ever been burned for before.
Kenny,
And hopefully Babette never hears that.
Oh,
Kenny,
man.
I can tell you right now, if you ever show up at the radio station, I'll give you one free swing at Joe Dubin. No questions asked. You can have it because it will
I'll never
entertain
do
me
that.
greatly. I know.
I'm not a man of violence, but in my mind I am. See y'all later.
All right,
See
thanks,
ya,
brother.
Kenny. Appreciate it.
Oh,
all
my
right, real
goodness.
quick. Real quick, tell us what day it is, and we'll get to birthdays.
We're going to skip the birthdays. We got some good birthdays. We'll just skip straight to birthdays, all right?
Okay, do it.
All right, first birthday up today. How old is Nick Nolte? Nick Nolte. How old is Nick Nolte?
I'm going to say he is 76.
55.
83.
Man, he looks
Jeez.
young.
Creed Bratton from The Office. How old is Creed, who was in town like 2 weeks ago?
51.
I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going in the 70s. 71.
81 years old. Creed
Oh,
is 81. Mary Steenburgen, who was in Step Brothers. She was Will Ferrell's mom in Step Brothers. How old is
Yeah.
she?
63.
72.
71. Good job, Dr. Crane. Nashville resident, lives down in Leaper's Fork. Vince Neil.
I just saw an interview of him talking about why he moved to Nashville with Sammy Hagar. Vince Neil is 68.
76.
63.
Oh. I met Vince Neil once. That was cool.
Actor Seth Green was in the Dr. Evil
Austin
movies.
Powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Family Guy, Robot Chicken. Seth Green is 52.
53.
50. We're tied at 1. All right, next one's going to win. We got time here. ABC News anchor Ted Koppel. How old is Ted Koppel?
83.
89.
84. Chaser at the buzzer wins. Well done, Chase.
Oh, thank you so much. I'd like to thank the Academy. my
All
family,
right.
God. Yeah, so good show today. Great participation. Love this on the text line. Keep them coming, and we'll have fun again tomorrow.
You guys are great. Hey, as we leave every show, to our guys out there that are struggling, look, on your cell phone, you can dial 988. You talk to somebody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you need to talk to somebody, please reach out and call them. We know there's a lot that's going on out there, but let you guys know that you are tremendously loved, and our world is a better place because you are here.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Peace, love, rock and roll. Caroline, Willie, D. Mace coming up next.